Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to take a look at a 3-minute chart of the Nifty, which is one of the markets over there in India that is actively traded. But before we start, I have to go through the risk disclaimer to just remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades were actually taken. They're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading investing. I'll put that another way. All professional traders know, understand, and more importantly accept that losses can and will do unfold. I'll repeat that. Losses can and will unfold. The trick is keeping those losses small. All trade decisions are your own sole responsibility. Right, let's have a look at a 3-minute chart of the Nifty, how it's unfolded today, which is September the 20th. As you can see, we had some automatic trade setups here. We had a VS or volume spike buy that actually nailed the very bar of the low of the day. That was on a black MTP trend, i.e. a flat MTP trend. We had a VS sell, which was against a blue MTP trend. Then we had another VS sell, which came up there to nail the very bar of the high of the day on a black MTP trend. But before we start having a closer look at these, I want to go out to the higher time frame chart. As usual, the higher time frame chart is a time frame between 3 and 5 time frames higher. So if you're trading a 3-minute chart, that would be the 15-minute chart. If you're looking at a, say, 15-minute Forex, it would be the hourly, or if you're trading daily stocks, it would be a daily chart. So let's go back to before this low even unfolded. I'll use training mode. I'll go back to here somewhere. So what we do is go back to the previous pivot, highs or lows. In this case, there's a pivot low there. We right mouse click, do decision point, and that gives you an area of potential support on the chart. There it is. If I now move forward, you can see how the market came into that level and actually printed a TS3 buy setup on the 15-minute chart. But the point being is that there was support coming in on the higher time frame. I'll just turn training mode off, and then I'll just go back to the 3-minute chart in a second. Right, here's the 3-minute chart loaded. As you can see, this VS buy setup here came in at the higher time frame support. If I use our training mode and I jump back to the very bar of that setup, you can see this is how it looked like at the time. Our MTP trend had just gone grey to indicate the market trend was in the process of reversing or forming a potential low. But the main point is, can you see how we're at higher time frame or 15-minute support? That allowed this to be a good trade setup. So let's right mouse click over the blue buy bar and then do analysis, and this will then place the position sizing. Remember, we use correct position sizing to vary the number of lots, contracts or shares. This is less than 2,000 less than 2% account on a 100,000 rupee account. You can change your account size if you wish and account currency, but as we're looking at the Indian ones here, let's have a look at a slightly larger account. So if you had 65,000 rupees, this would be the number of contracts to trade. Why do we do this? Well, it keeps your profits and losses in relation to each other. So in other words, it keeps the losses small, and when you have profits, the profits are large in relation to the losses. So this is what we call one risk unit down here, and this profit, if the market gets up to this level, will be 4.2 or just over 4 risk units, or 4 times the initial risk. So let's see what happened. If I turn training mode off, just wait for the bars to reload. Just coming in there for a second. There, the bars have reloaded. As you can see, the Nifty rallied up to hit our target there, where a potential 4.2R profit was available. Remember, I said earlier that this VS sell setup was against a blue MTP trend. Largely trend was up, therefore you'd be avoiding it. So looking back on this, we actually had a buy setup that came in at higher time frame support that nailed the very bar of the low of the day, and we had a profit target that nailed the very bar of the high of the day. Normally, when the market reaches its target, we look at our strength of our MTP trend and whether it's beyond its grey strength band, and if it is, we then look to run it a bit further. But this is slightly different. Why? because of, again, the higher degree trend, or the higher time frame support and resistance. So again, I'll go back to the 15-minute chart. Here we go, and let's place the next resistance area on as the market was rallying up here. Again, this would be as the market's actually moving. So if I jump back to in around here, the next resistance area would have been off this last pivot high. So you right mouse click, do decision point. Again, this would be an area where higher time frame resistance would be coming in. So I'll just turn training mode off. And you can see that's what the market did. It went from 15-minute DP support up to 15-minute DP resistance. So how would this have affected our trade on our shorter time frame chart? Well, let's go back to the 3-minute chart. Just zoom out a bit. Let's just clear everything off. As you can see, this target area here, or this high, came in at higher time frame resistance. So in other words, when we place our analysis back on, although the MTP trend was strong, because we were at higher time frame resistance in this case, it made sense to try and lock in this 4.2 hour profit, particularly as you're getting towards the end of the day anyway. So there's the result, a beautiful day where the low of the day came in at our DP support zone. The high of the day came in at our DP resistance zone, and in between we had a VS buy setup that had you long up into the high there for a very nice trade of plus 4.2R. Obviously all trades are not profitable. Let's have a look at the Bank Nifty. Here's some analysis I was doing earlier. It wasn't such quite a clear picture. Although the low came in at 15-minute support, the MTP trend was blue all day, so the larger trend was up. It's a pity actually, because you got some nice sell setups. We didn't actually reach the higher time frame resistance, so you may well have wanted to go long this TS3 Holy Grail buy setup here. As you can see, it never reached its target, so this particular trade did not unfold as anticipated. Probably you'd have had your stop to break even by now, and this would probably been a break even trade. But this is a good example of, here we have the same day, the Bank Nifty and the Nifty. The Bank Nifty had a trade that didn't unfold as anticipated, but the Nifty had a perfect trade that went from the very bar of the low of the day up to the high of the day almost, for a very nice trade. This is what trading is all about. It's about watching how markets go through cycles. In the 50% of the time when the pattern's clear, you can get some very nice trade setups like this. In the 50% when the pattern is not clear, you get trades where the markets don't do as anticipated, and that's just part of trading. It's something that all traders need to accept. So in this case, this trade didn't unfold as anticipated. May well have been a break-even trade, or at the very worst a -1 or loss. The Nifty unfolded absolutely perfectly and would have resulted in a plus 4.2R profit. So overall, a very good day for MTPredictor on the Indian markets, the Bank Nifty, and in particular the Nifty on the 3-minute charts earlier today.